morning and welcome to Fab Fit TV. I'm your host, Kim Barnes Jefferson, and I am a healthy living interventionist, and I work with busy women to help them break free of the diet mindset so that they can live a life of balance, power, and harmony. And I hope you guys are having an awesome week. I can't believe it's the end of April. I'm just kind of coming to terms with that. It just seems like last week I was talking about getting ready for Easter, and now here we are at the end of the month, getting ready for Mother's Day coming up pretty soon. So today I wanted to, it seems like spring is that time of renewal, and the time that all of us kind of like look back at what our goals were from January. We kind of like revisit it and we say, okay, what can we do? What can we accomplish? Summer's coming. We have, let's just say it's May. We have a month and a half before it's truly summer, but really most of us start celebrating summer Memorial Day. The kids are starting to get out of school. Around here, I live in Boston, and soon enough all the college students will be disappearing and the city will be empty of college kids. And it's kind of like that time of renewal. Like, what do you want to do? What do you want to accomplish in the summertime before summer comes? And I always, ask my clients when we start working together to kind of come up with this, what's their driving factor? Because when we go with this all or nothing mentality, we have, 2 feet in, balls to the wall, whatever, beast mode, all those ways that are just like, yeah. At some point, that burns you out. You are just like, I ain't got time. And you just slowly start to crawl back into your old habits. And I know so many of you are sick of that. You're just so sick of like, every time I try to go for it, something happens, it just knocks me off the path. And sometimes I can get back on the path. Sometimes I got 1 foot on the path, 1 foot in the gutter, and I'm just sick of it, uncle. And so you either go out seeking for something else again, or you're just like, peace out, I'm sitting on the sidelines, this wasn't meant to be my life. And so what I tell you is results require time and action. And I wrote a blog post about this, that, so many of us think that our bodies should be like Amazon Prime. That if I decide right now that, I'm gonna drop 30 pounds and I'm gonna go home, and if it doesn't happen by the time I wake up tomorrow morning, it better darn happen by Friday. Because if I ordered something on Amazon today, you bet your sweet tushy I would have it by Friday, Amazon Prime. That's not how our bodies work. Would you build a business and expect it to be this like money maker, kicking tushy kind of business in 2 days? Would you expect that if you were pregnant to like have the baby in 2 days? What would do you expect that like, hey, I want a new job. 2 days later, boom, dream job in your lap? No, you would say, what? If I'm pregnant now, and that's not an announcement, and I'm not gonna have this baby in 2 days. It's gonna take time for the baby to mature, and then I can have it. Oh, I want a new dream job. It's going to take time for me to make the connections to find my dream job. Oh, I want a new house. It's going to take me time to find my new house. Now, I'm not saying it's going to take forever, but it's not like Amazon. Like, you can't shop for it, put it in your car, 2 days later, the postman's knocking on your door. It's not how results work at all. And the sooner you come to that reality, the less likely you are to struggle, the less likely you are to be disappointed. And disappointment stinks. Disappointment sucks. And it all comes down to priorities. What are you prioritizing in your life? Because you can't prioritize everything. Even though I say I'm the queen of multitasking, I'm not. And this year, when I started to really narrow down my multitasking to just one singular focus, I started to get more stuff done. And what I want you to think about is, what is your one singular focus? Where can you prioritize your time? Because we all got the same amount of time. It's just a matter of what we do with it, right? So the best way when I apply this one focus thing to my health, I talk about balance, but when I talk about balance, I see it as a scale. Now, it's like kind of like the scales of justice, that, or a seesaw. There is finding that, like, you can't have a friend that's too heavy and you weigh 3 pounds and they weigh 20 pounds, because you're never going to have that balance. So you're going to try to find a friend that you can go easily push up and push down, push up and push down. And with that seesaw, that's how I want you to think about your goals, is that there's always something that's getting a little higher priority depending on what's going on in your life, and there's something that's always getting a little less priority, because not everything can be here. It's just, if you can get it to be there, you're a supermodel, rock on with your bad self. And, a lot of this time is that for my perfectionists out there, when I talk about action, when I talk about finding this happy medium, some of you get all in your head, because if you're not going to be the Tom Brady of your goals, you don't want any piece of it. You don't even want to show up and try. And if you know Tom Brady's story, he wasn't Tom Brady. He was a guy that had to do the combine. He was a guy that was the backup quarterback to a superstar. And he just showed up. And now we see his work ethic, his actions got him the results that he wanted. So I want you to think about, instead of thinking about how I can be perfect about this action, think about how I can take action. And this all comes down to, how do I defeat the perfectionist inside of me that wants to do this awesomeness? How do I defeat I've been there, done that, and I got multiple t-shirts and no results? How do I beat that? And it comes down to one thing. It's one thing. And when I asked my clients, I said, okay, so you've given me all of your goals. And I said, okay, what's one thing you can do this week that would go towards your goals? And I would get, oh my gosh, yeah, I'm going to set a bedtime. Then I'm going to go to the gym. Then I'm going to do this. Blah, 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 blah. And I was like, okay, so when I said one, we've all graduated from kindergarten when we were taught to count. This is one thing. And I always start with one thing because I want you to feel accomplished. I start with one thing because I want you to really think about, what can I do and nail and just run, and hit the ground running? Because the more wins you have under your belt, the more likely you are to show up. The more you show up, the more you're going to get. The more you get, the more you're going to be motivated. And it's just this whole snowball effect when you set these one singular things and just nail it. And when you nail it, you just are you're walking tall. You're like King Kong on top of the Empire State Building, knocking off planes. You're like, you can't stop me. You're just unstoppable. And that feeling is amazing. When you have that feeling, why wouldn't you want to continue that feeling? So a few years ago, I read this book. It's The One Thing, and it talks about a bunch of different aspects of your life, but I applied The One Thing to health, and I use it a lot with my clients. It's a great fast read. I have multiple highlights, multiple pages bookmarked, because it's just a lot of great little nuggets in this book. And the big takeaway I got from the book is my one thing. And so they refer to the one thing as a domino. And we've all seen a domino, where you set them up and you set them up in a certain distance apart, and then someone knocks one away and it kind of sends this cascade effect. And that's what the one thing is. So what you do is you sit down and you say, what do I really want? And you can pick any areas in your life. You can pick your health, you can pick your family, you can pick your career, you can pick your wealth, you can pick your spiritual health. Pick any area and then literally sit down with a piece of paper and pen and write down what are your goals. And just free flow, just free form, and get crazy. If your wealth is like, I want to live in a big house on the water, bring it. I want to drive a Maserati, rock on with your bad self. I want to wear a bikini on my next vacation, awesome. So just let your brain free form think. Just don't try to question it and judge it. But is it possible for me to have a Maserati? Is it possible for me to live on the beach? Is it possible for me? No, just write this is what I want. Just write it down. And then, you get it out of you. You get all of your hopes, your dreams, you get it out of you. And then you apply this question. And the question is, what is the one thing I can do in such a way by doing it will make everything else easier? Okay? So you've written down your buckets. And now you have all of your goals. You have all your things that you want to bring into your life. And then you ask this question. And then you say to yourself, that question is pretty powerful. I got to boil it down to, in order to get a Maserati, what's one thing I got to do? In order to wear a bikini on my next vacation, what's one thing I got to do? In order to live on a house by water, what's one thing I got to do? Now, what I want you to think about is let's break this down. So, my jam is health. So I'm going to pick wear a bikini on your next vacation. Okay? So I talked about things being a domino. So I say, okay, I want to wear a bikini on my next vacation. What's one thing I can do to get me to that goal? And so I said, imagine the Jeopardy music playing right now. And then I say, the best thing I can do right now in this moment to get to that bikini on my next vacation is I can pay attention to what I'm eating. And that would be my one thing. But I'm going to pay attention to what I'm eating. And that's going to be my domino. Because I know that the nutrition is key to my results. And that's for me personally. For you, you could be like, I know I need to work out. And that could be your one thing. That could be the snowball that makes you feel great all over. For me, I know I got to pay attention to my nutrition. Because when I pay attention to my nutrition, I know I get results. And so if I say my one thing right now is focus on my nutrition, and that's all I'm going to focus on is my nutrition. That's it. I'm not going to say, and then the gym, I'm fortunate that all those other habits are established, but sometimes, like I said, you get 1 foot on the track, 1 foot off the track. Right now with my nutrition, I'd say 1 foot's on the track, 1 foot's off the track, and if I want to wear a bikini on my next vacation, I gotta have both feet on the track. In order to put both feet back on the track, I gotta focus on my nutrition. So that's how I work that one thing. So then you take it down, like, okay, my one thing for this, and then you can break it down by month, by week, by day. Okay, so that's where it gets really granular. So for the month, my long term is I want to wear a bikini. So that's here. It's okay, let's take this step next. I need to work on my food. So what can I do today to focus on my food? So that one thing I can do today to focus on my food is log. So I can log my food. And that can be anything. I could write it on a piece of paper. I could put it in one of the millions of apps out there on the phone, on my phone, or on the computer. Then the one thing I can do for the week is I can take a look at what I eat, and I can make adjustments and ask myself, is this food going to take me to where I want to be? Do you see what it is? I'm only focusing on my food. I'm not trying to focus on my exercise. I'm not trying to focus on my sleep. But my one thing is my food. And when my food, I feel confident that my food is back on lock, then I can say, what's the next one thing? 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 Because if I try to say, oh, I know I need to eat better, I need to sleep, I need to do this, I need to do, then you're overwhelmed, and it's just like kind of you're juggling. You're juggling, and then one ball falls, and you're like, oh, I'll get to that. And then another ball falls, get to that. And the next thing you know, you got one ball in your hand. And then you're like, I feel like a failure because all the rest of the balls are on the floor. But if I just started with one ball, and I got really good with that one ball, and then I added another ball, and then I added another ball, I'm juggling. I'm finding a way to get my seesaw to be in balance. So for you, what would be that one thing? You know, and it makes sense to put pen to paper. For years, there have been a number of case studies. There have been people who studied folks at Harvard. It was 5 years, 10 years, and 15 years. And when the people who wrote down their goals and said, this, in 5 years I want to achieve blah, 10 years I want to achieve blah, 15 years I want to achieve blah, when they physically wrote it on a piece of paper, this is what I want to achieve. Then the researchers came back to them. So rewind. So they had three groups. A group that wrote down their 5, 10, 15-year goals and physically wrote them on a piece of paper. Then they had a group that said their goals, 5, 10, 15, 20-year goals. Then they had another group that didn't even set goals. And so they went back 5 years and they said, okay, group one who physically wrote down your goals, they said, what have you accomplished? And when they read their goals, they're like, huh, look at that. Huh, yeah. I got, 2 out of the 5, I have no idea just what I just hit. Hang on. Okay. I got 2 out of the 5 of my goals. 3 out of 5 of my goals. Then people who just said their goals, they only got 20% of their goals. And the people who didn't set any goals, you don't know because they didn't set any goals. So I want you to think about writing them down. And then, put them in a place that you can see them. Not for making you feel bad, but more as a reminder. And I'll tell you, the goal I'm setting right now, I will put Post-it notes around my house. And it'll be reminders. Did you log your food today? Put a note on my refrigerator. There are good choices inside of this refrigerator. In my journal, I'll write about, what was my day like? Was it a hard day? Was I tempted? Was I walking around and everyone was eating donuts and candy bars? I'll write, kind of be in touch and be in tune to make sure that I am hitting my goal. And, everything happens with action and accountability. So for me, when I physically write it down, I'm holding myself accountable. Because yes, in theory, I know in my head what I ate, but when I physically put pen to paper, then I know what I ate. And I can say, you know what, Kim? You're having a little too much of this, or you're having a little too much of that. And it's that own personal accountability that can take you really far. But if you're someone who needs a partner, needs a coach, I've had plenty of coaches for my business, and I've had plenty of coaches for my fitness, because sometimes, we're our own worst critic, or sometimes we give ourselves a little too much leniency. And so, it's okay to reach out for help to get to your one thing. It's also okay to reach out to a partner or a coach to help you narrow down what is your one thing. And, you want this person to be able to hold your feet to the fire. And not just be like, girl, you okay. You want someone to be like, girl, you ain't okay. You can't have all this and fit into your bikini. What can you change? And have someone who's great at brainstorming. Have someone who's, in that journey with you. And then, like I said, when you write down your goals, you're 76% more likely to get them. So do you want to be the 25%? Or do you want to be the 76%? I think you want to be the 76%. And I know that right now it says when I say one thing, you're like, I'm just never going to get there. But anything is done. I love this saying, but I always screw it up. So I'm going to try again. Inch by inch is a cinch. Mile by mile it's hard. I think that's the saying. But inch by inch is a cinch. So it's literally 1 foot in front of the other. When you first started to walk, did you go from a crawl to a straight up sprint? No. You went from a crawl to pulling yourself up on furniture and standing there being so damn proud of yourself. Then you got enough courage, you took one hand up and you're like, okay, this is okay. And then you started with 1 to 2 tentative steps before you fell in your tushy. So I want you to think about that. I want you to go back to being a toddler where you were kind of walking around like a little drunk sailor for a little bit before you felt comfortable and confident. That's what I want for you to think about when you do this. That it's not like I'm slowing down. Sometimes you have to slow down to speed up. So just figure out where you want to be, what buckets you want. Take all your buckets of your life and then write down all your goals. And then figure out where you want to put your laser focus. Because, here's your world, but I want to say instead of looking at the world, I want you to narrow it down to Massachusetts, and then I want you to narrow it down to Boston. Versus, I'm going to work on all of Massachusetts. That's a pretty big state. So narrow it down to just the city that you want to accomplish. So, I wanted to invite you to, I'm having a webinar tomorrow. And if you go to bit.ly/April Webby, you'll be able to register. It's at 8 o'clock tomorrow Eastern Standard Time. And basically I'm going to be breaking down how you can reclaim your health and giving you 3 secrets about cardio, like why steady state isn't the way to go, and giving you hit cardio exercises that'll give you nice fast results to really help you burn off the fat and lose the weight fast. And then I'm also going to talk about it's not, weight loss doesn't have to be a struggle. You can enjoy what you eat. You can still go out and have fun and still fit into your pants the following day. So if you guys are around tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, go to bit.ly/April Webby and you can register for that webinar. If you're not able to attend live, I am doing a recording of it, so I will send out the replay. So feel free to register anyway, and that way you can get the recording of the webinar. I will be back here on May 9th, and I will be talking about the power of habits. So we started on this path of how do you pick that one thing? And now you've got that one thing going. How do you make that one thing a habit so that when you're ready, you feel confident and ready to move to number 2, you're sure that this is now a habit, that you're not going to feel like you're going to be, bobbing and weaving and getting off course. So thank you guys so much for everything. If you guys have any questions or comments, if you have any questions or comments, please reach out to me. You can reach me at squadleader@fabfitsquad.com. I'm also reachable on Facebook, Kim Barnes Jefferson Coach, and on Instagram, Fab Fit Squad. I'm always looking for show ideas. I'm always looking for better ways that I can give you information. I know that a lot of the health and fitness information, the studies that you see can be a little confusing. One day this is good, one day that is bad, and you just want to be like, what do I pay attention to? I want to be able to provide that for you. It has been a great show, and I will see you on May 9th. That's the second Monday of the month. I'm here second Tuesday of the month. The second Tuesday and Friday, second Tuesday and fourth Tuesday of the month. And again, anything that you can think of that I can cover, absolutely let me know. Well, thank you guys so much, and have a fabulous evening.